Let's revive one of the polishes from this 1948 Peggy Sage nail kit. We'll save this bottle of Heartbreak Pink for Valentine's Day, so today we're working with the shade Naturelle. Usually natural shades from this period were very sheer pink to orange toned jellies, but this one looks like it will perform more like a creme, so I'm very curious to try it. So let's crack this open, and if you like a good cheese pull, you'll enjoy this. And as usual, I'm using Seche Restore nail polish thinner to replace the solvents that evaporated out of the bottle. This kit was never used, so we'll end up filling it up, but I won't do it all at once. Undoubtedly, I'll have to stir it, so I don't want to spill it during the process. I went ahead and cleaned the rim to show you that sometimes orange dye can morph towards fuchsia and sometimes purple, likely from being more directly exposed to oxygen for years. I've had modern orange polish turn pink and purple. I'm not sure what exact dye does that, but it's funny to see it in a polish from the 40s. Now we'll just let this sit for a while to soften up the polish. It sat for a few hours, but that doesn't mean it's ready for the vortex. I'll do some manual stirring since undoubtedly it will be pretty thick at the bottom. If I put it on the vortex with all that thinner sitting on the top, it might leak. And I really don't want to have to clean up the cap. And now I'll essentially just stir until the product on the bottom stops being clumped on my stir stick like chewing gum. Occasionally I'll spin the stir stick like an egg beater in the corners to get the solid, mineral-based pigments more incorporated. I won't speed this up, so I'll just use this time to chat. I had a solid week there after the new year where I went offline, and a lot of people were messaging asking if I was okay. In one of my last revivals, I asked for cozy Switch game recommendations for my upcoming long New Zealand flight, and overwhelmingly, you guys recommended Stardew Valley. Well, babes, I was at first overwhelmed by the game tasks, but continued to play it, and play it, and play it, to the point where I'd grab it at around 9 p.m. before bed to settle in for the night, and then I'd look at the clock and it'd be 6 a.m. So yes, I love it, but I'm trying to be a little more careful with how much I play. But in no time, I should be married to Elliot. I do have another request for recommendations, though. I have a flight that lands in San Francisco at 9:30 a.m. on a Sunday, and I don't catch my flight to New Zealand until almost 11 p.m. So friends in San Francisco, what should I do with my layover? I have like 10 solid hours I can burn in the city. What do I do? And now I'll just hit this with the vortex to hopefully rattle the chunks into dissolving more completely. I'm speeding this part up though, since I'm an introvert that has reached my chatty threshold. Now it's time to top this up with the rest of the thinner. And I noticed the brush has a few wild hairs that aren't loose enough to pull out with tweezers, so we'll just give them a trim. I'm just going to use the little scissors from the Peggy Sage kit. Although nylon bristles had existed at this point, not all brands adopted them immediately. These bristles are camel hair, which will have a stiffer application. Since these older formulas were meant to be pretty thin, the stiff bristles typically don't cause streaking. If the formula was thick, we'd have some issues. As you can see here, I did find a stray, so I plucked it out. These metal wands only held the bristles with a crimp in the metal tube. Now that we've fixed up the brush, I'll just egg beat blend in the corners to work the stubborn pigment out. For those of you watching this on the clock app, I implore you to come follow me on the tube. And if you're watching me over there already, are you watching on mobile? I'm not sure if I'll just keep filming vertically or what if the clock app goes away. I'm so stubborn to change. Like, I'm sorry, but I can't be bothered to make thumbnails on the tube. The only thumbnail I'll give you is, well, a literal thumbnail. I don't have the riz to make a clickbait thumbnail. Though some would say my nail shape is clickbait. Or rage bait even. I'm always entertained by the reactions to my nail shape. People can get really triggered by my personal preference. It reminds me of the exaggerated reactions people had to blue or green nail polish in the first half of the 20th century. As much as I'd like to say we've changed since then, people are always going to be highly reactive to the unfamiliar. Maybe when I get back from my trip, I'll do an updated nail shape video. I've amassed quite the folder of 1930s Hollywood actresses that sported the shape. But if you happen to hate it, by all means, leave a shady comment. The algorithm will just continue to serve these nails to more viewers. Now I'm going to set the polish aside for the night and redo my overlays so we can swatch it in the morning. I'm back, and the overnight rest actually helped absorb the pigment, so I'm ready to try it out. Back then, they'd likely do a single coat to have a sheer natural look, but I'm going to build this up. Notice it doesn't look very even wet, but when it's dry, it completely leveled out. With this final coat, it really takes on a more solid peachy color. When it levels and dries, it kind of loses that transparent quality. Here's the final look. I skipped top coat completely since it's not really necessary. But let me know your thoughts on this one, or on anything I've rambled on about in this video.